Y'all, buckle up, because the tea that just spilled is not only piping hot, it might just burn the whole internet down. We're diving into the chaos, confusion, and outright emotional warfare between Marquez and Trish. It's messier than a plate of Sunday brunch after church service. Just when you thought this whole divorce drama couldn't get any wilder, Marquez dropped a bomb that left everyone, including Morris, shook to the core. Let's start with the shock heard round the courthouse. Marquez showed up to finalize the divorce papers, right? Everything was set. Pens ready, signatures pending. But then he read the paperwork and saw that Trisha had checked the box that said they had no minor children. No minor children, y'all. This man froze because, in his mind, his girl was still a child and marking that box. That felt like Trisha was trying to erase him from the parenting picture. He asked the clerk what that meant and was told something to the effect of, "Well, if you sign this, you're basically agreeing with it. You're saying there's nothing to contest." And in that moment, Marquez said, "Nope, absolutely not." He refused to sign. But let's pause right there, because the social media streets were already in flames. People were like, wait a minute, didn't y'all just see Marquez at his daughter's dance recital a few weeks ago? Folks were pulling receipts, screenshots, even reposting Trisha's old IG stories talking about how she never kept Marquez from his kids. So what's the truth? Is this about child support? Is this about control? Or is this man just spinning tales to shift the blame? Then, in true reality show fashion, Marquez turned to Maurice for advice. And let me tell you, Maurice wasn't having it. He asked him straight up, "Do you have an attorney?" And when Marquez said no, Maurice basically backed all the way off like, "Oh nah, I don't get in folks' personal mess." But that didn't stop Marquez from pouring his entire emotional mess onto Maurice like he was a priest in confession. And this is where things took a dark, twisted turn. Marquez starts talking about how lawyers will drain you dry, how the court will decide what happens when your money runs out, and how it's in everyone's best interest to work things out outside the system. But here's the kicker. He then starts reminiscing about walking into Trisha's house unannounced and overhearing her talking about him. He admits he didn't knock, didn't ask permission, strolled in like he owned the place, and y'all, that's where it got real. Ugly. He gets into it with Trisha's friend, goes off like a man unhinged, and has the nerve to say, "Don't take Trisha's word about me. Get to know me." What, sir? You just barged into someone else's space, disrespected boundaries, and then tried to control the narrative. That's not protecting your fatherhood. That's emotional manipulation. And then are y'all ready for this? Because this one had the group chat screaming. Marquez said he felt sorry for Trisha. He said Trisha couldn't get anyone else, so she was lucky he decided to slide up in her, as she didn't want a divorce and was only filing because Ken told her to. And get this, he said, "I gave her to Ken." Excuse me? The entitlement, the audacity, the delusion. He talks down on her like she's some item he passed off, and then 2 seconds later says, "I lost my best friend." Nah, sir, that's not love. That's not friendship. That's psychological warfare dressed in nostalgia. Now, let's talk about Ken, because he tried, y'all. He really did. He sat down with Marquez, man to man, for 5 hours to talk about boundaries, tried to make peace, tried to create a plan for co-parenting. But as we all saw, that convo went in one ear and flew out the other. Because the minute Marquez walked into Trisha's house without knocking a GAIN, it was clear. This man does not respect boundaries. He walked in, asked for a drink like he was visiting his cousin's BBQ, and then started stirring the pot. Ken tried to keep things calm. He was like, "Steps, bro. She doesn't trust you yet, but Marquez." He came back with a jab. "Why? Didn't you talk about boundaries 3.5 years ago when you were sleeping with Trisha?" Y'all? Everyone's jaws dropped. Trisha's confessional said it all. Marquez speaks soft, but he says things that cut deep. Then comes the showdown. "Sharon, The friend Marquez disrespected earlier rings the doorbell properly, like a guest, like someone who knows how to act. Trisha answers it, and Sharon is met with Marquez being fake polite, offering her a drink, saying sorry, and Ken, he sees right through it. It's like, you're doing the most, and none of this was asked of you. You're crossing boundaries again. And when Ken tells him to sit down or get out, Marquez flips, tries to turn it into an argument with Trisha. Again, because he wants the last word, because he doesn't want to be held accountable. When Ken tries to call him out about throwing around the word trauma regarding the kids, Marquez explodes. If Trisha was so traumatizing, why would he leave the kids with her? You walk out the door, leave them behind, and then blame her for their well-being? Nah, the math ain't mathing. Ken, being the real one, reminded him, this is my house. This is my family too. And Marquez couldn't take it. He tried to throw the $500 he paid for dance as if that was some major sacrifice. But Ken let him. No real fathers don't get trophies for doing the bare minimum. And that's when Sharon just froze, standing in the kitchen like she accidentally walked into an episode of Boy, the remake. Ken had to check Marquez, not with his fists, but with his voice. Sit your ass down or get out, period. By the end of the episode, Trisha is grabbing paperwork to prove Marquez is lying. Ken is exhausted. Sharon looks ready to Uber herself to the nearest wine bar. And Marquez? Still trying to rewrite history, still trying to control the situation with a soft voice and sharp jabs. But y'all, the plot twist. After all that, Marquez still says, I just want my friend back. Sir, your friend is gone. Your ex-wife has moved on. And if you think manipulating everyone with emotional guilt is going to win her back, you're sadly mistaken. So the question now is, what happens next? Will Trisha finally cut him off for good? Will Ken reach his breaking point? Will Marquez spiral even further? Let me know in the comments because, baby, this one is a whole saga and we are just scratching the surface. Subscribe, hit that bell, and don't forget to drop your opinion below. Would you be okay